Is it possible to be a peacemaker and not cross the boundaries of just being a people pleaser? Peacemaker, people pleaser. Can those boundaries be crossed and still be effective? We're going to talk about that today in the Legacy series. Do you ever crave a more peaceful life? Both internal for yourself and external for others. Peace of mind, body, and spirit, since they work together in synergy. I was inspired by this verse in Proverbs 14:30. It tells us that a heart and mind at peace gives a life to your body. Do you want a heart and mind at peace, having more health and life that also spills on to others, thereby having that internal peace, helping you to be a peacemaker? We're going to talk about that today in the Legacy series with a twist. We're also going to add being a peacemaker with boundaries, because a lot of times we can get those wires crossed. So on this Legacy series, we've already covered a legacy, your legacy of kindness, your legacy of integrity, one of advocating for others and yourself, a legacy of wisdom, your legacy of helping others win, your legacy of truth and truth-telling, and your legacy of self-worth. When you get that self-worth, do your internal work, your introspection, that work on your life, it can help encourage others to also have self-worth. And today we're going to dig into your legacy of peace. I think we all want that, and we all know it is a lifelong journey, but it's worth it to have peace of mind, adding that health to your life and your body. And as I said, it does start with that self-introspection, that prayer, quiet time with God, getting to know ourselves, finding out how we tick in our inner psychology, so that we can be effective peacemakers by having that internal peace first within. So we're going to jump into that. Let me introduce myself first and tell you why we're doing this series. I am Nurse Ann. I'm a certified emergency and mental health registered nurse on the front lines for many years and still going. And at my website, you can see in the description, is nurseann.com. It's there for your inspirational wellness for body, mind, and spirit. As I said, they work together in synergy. We all need that peace of mind. We all need health to live our best lives. In this Legacy series, here's a quote by Maya Angelou, kind of along the lines of why we are doing this Legacy series together. If you're going to leave behind a legacy, make an impact on the world that can never be erased. And also another anonymous quote says, carve your name on hearts. Carve your name on hearts, not tombstones. Now that's something to think about, leaving a legacy. And as I said on the other Legacy videos, a legacy isn't just for the future, it's also for right now. Living life to impact others' lives and help others win as we go about our life. Whatever work, school, family situation you're in, you can leave that legacy as you go. So I'm Nurse Ann. Follow this channel, leave your comments as we go, and I hope that you like and share it with others. Would you like, as I said, that more peace for yourself, which is going to help all aspects of your life, and also being a peacemaker, but as I said, with a twist. Being a peacemaker, does it always have to mean getting walked on like a doormat, always being that people pleaser in order to be a peacemaker? What do you think about that? Leave that in the comments and let's discuss that. So let's go. We're going to explore some insightful media on being a peacemaker with boundaries, and just some other verses and articles about having more peace and being that peacemaker. And of course, that starts first with our relationship with God. So let's look at some media, some related scripture, and then some bonus content from my published devotionals. And at the end, there's always that exciting prize that I will tell you about soon. You can be a peacemaker and remain authentic and true to yourself and have those healthy boundaries. And all of these qualities work together, and they're actually the qualities of being authentic and true to yourself and having healthy boundaries can help you be a better peacemaker. It might not seem like that on the surface, but it can help others actually in a better way when you do show those boundaries and you've developed and worked on yourself first. Then others can be drawn to that and actually maybe able to respect that and learn more. So let's go to the first media for our peace prescriptions from Nurse Ann. Proverbs 12:20 was another inspirational verse. We're going to look that up in a minute. And there's also verses that say, blessed are the peacemakers. Proverbs 15:1 reminds us that a soft and gentle answer soothes and turns away anger in others. And as much, there's a verse that says, as much as it depends on you, live in peace with others. And also another verse, when a person's ways please the Lord, it helps us to be at peace with others, even if maybe they were upset before. And I'll look up Proverbs 12:20 in a minute. If you have that, leave it in the comments. But we're going to go ahead and get into the media and then the bonus. So the first one is very interesting, and it's peacemaker versus people pleaser. Which one are you, and how can it affect your relationship? And this is from the website Medium. And confrontation is the last thing that we want to be a part of. How do you feel about confrontation? Who wants to disturb their peace by jumping headfirst into chaos? It's definitely not a pleasant situation to be in, and it can be awkward at times. Ultimately, confrontation and conflict reveal if you are actually a peacemaker or just people pleasing. A peacemaker's main goal is to put an end to the confrontation while keeping the connection and the relationship intact, finding a reasonable solution. Sometimes that means putting yourself in the middle of the problem, being very direct with everyone involved, and forcing boundaries. Sometimes having to take control of a situation to bring everyone else down a notch. Either way, the peacemaker can be in the direct line of fire when it comes to these type of situations. But people pleasing is the total opposite. Sometimes this person usually agrees with everyone all of the time. They never really voice their own opinion, and they become a yes person. They take the path of least resistance. Some people feel like being a people pleaser is simply just being nice, but is actually conflict avoidance. People pleasing only lessens your voice and opinions over time. And as I said, we need to remain authentic and speak our truth, and that's going to serve us and others better in the long run. It says that dealing with any situation this way can be extremely unhealthy. It's hard to grapple with, but people pleasing is a sign of codependency and trauma. And I have a lot of other videos. If you scroll back, we talk about emotional resilience, emotional intelligence, getting healing in our mind, body, and spirit, working on that trauma healing. That is so important. A lot of times we don't even realize we have trauma history, trauma bonds, ways that we keep on reacting to relationships and situations in life based on that. So it's important to do that. Prayer, self-introspection, getting to know ourselves through therapy, counseling, coaches, just doing your own self-searching. And you do want to do that. It's a lifelong journey. How does this tie into relationships? If both partners want to find a solution instead of just agreeing and going about their day, the better off they're going to be. When two people have a disagreement and are willing to work together to find a solution that minimizes the possible arguing, in tearing each other down. It allows rooms for discussions and explanations. Sometimes we get into arguments and focus on name calling, screaming, instead of what the actual issue is. We end up being consumed by emotions that we're feeling and lose all logics. And I do have videos on, as I said, also not just reacting to our emotions, but learning better ways of stepping back and making more rational decisions. That is so important. We don't want to create hurt feelings and end up in continuous cycles of arguments and toxicities. Now, what happens when you have a people pleaser or two in the relationship? If both people are people pleasers, it can be an uphill battle that could lead to the end of the relationship. Agreeing with everything just to avoid a problem and a conflict could end up boiling over after a while. There could always be a perpetual problem within the relationship because both partners are too afraid to tackle it head on. And you won't be able to move forward. So for anyone that usually falls into the people pleaser category, remember not to stifle yourself. It will only lead to you being unsatisfied and always compromising yourself. And there's a quote they left by Ursula K. Le Guin that says, love doesn't just sit there like a stone. It has to be made like bread, remade all the time, made new. Your love is not going to be perfect and amazing all the time. You have to put in the effort to make it work and make it beautiful. That means handling uncomfortable situations that come up if you have a disagreement. The beauty won't come without the ugly parts. It's part of the journey. And then the second media is from Emily Christensen, PhD. Can't we all get along? Being a peacemaker. Grab a drink of water first. That's your nurseann.com health tip. Drinking water is so healthy. Even healthy for your cells. Do you want healthy cells? So this media, can't we all get along? Being a peacemaker. Being a peacemaker often seems most difficult when we feel threatened, of course. We feel like our own needs are being ignored. Keeping a healthy perspective on who we are, regardless of what others say or do, reduces defensiveness. And once again, maintaining those healthy boundaries reduces the need for any resentment. Working hard for positive interactions by focusing on the needs of others often eliminates conflict while developing a positive sense of self. And she reminds us to stop all the fighting, just stop trying to defend ourselves and prove a point, take the other person's perception. And number 2, empathize. Conflict often comes from deep-rooted sensitivities or other strong emotions, and finding ways to intuitively smooth over differences and help others more effectively express themselves and meet their needs also can resolve those common sources of conflict. And number 3, engage in dialogue. Seek common ground rather than noticing differences. See things from another perspective so that you can understand that person within their own context. Find ways to participate in shared activities. And then the next one is focus on others. Instead of attacking others or defending yourself, listen carefully to others so that they don't have to feel defensive or have any need to attack. Notice what needs you can meet for them so they can feel more at peace, and participate in activities with them to help neutralize the need for conflict. And the next one is trust. Peace comes from feelings of safety and well-being. If you're confident in whom God is and who you are, you can maintain this feeling by having good boundaries with those around you when dealing with difficult people. Being a peacemaker means actively making an effort to help meet the needs of others, also yourself, including making sure others' voices are heard and their opinions respected. Making peace means seeing the other person where they are in their own context and being aware of their potential, even when their experiences are very different from yours. Making peace means letting go of defensiveness and resentment find a way to contribute to the life of another. And we do a lot of that at my website and in these podcasts. But I find that true also as a emergency and mental health nurse on the front lines, that even people that are struggling with a lot of anger, maybe even illnesses that cause them to be paranoid or angry at others, if you show them that respect and listen, it really goes a long way, because a lot of people don't have that respect, kindness, or listening from others, and it can help diffuse anger in angry situations. So the next one is 5 Surprising Characteristics of a Peacemaker by PrettySimpleIdeas.com. Being a peacekeeper and a peacemaker is not the same. One runs from conflict, the other runs toward it to create peace. Peacemakers actively pursue peace. Peacekeepers, well, keep it by not doing anything controversial, not speaking up. And actually, on one of the videos on this legacy series, it's your legacy of truth and being a truth teller, and how we can do that in a kind and effective manner to actually make a difference for ourselves and others. 5 characteristics of a peacemaker. Peace rules in their own heart. Does peace rule in your heart? That is something you can work on, and it can be that lifelong journey, but it's definitely worth it. Peacemakers cannot create peace among others if they don't first start with peace in their own heart. How are we to calm wars and tempers or reconcile with another if we have battles raging in our own hearts? That's not to say we won't hit seasons where we have to focus on our own internal battles, but if we desire to create peace among others, we have to find it in God, who will also give it to ourselves first. How do we grab a hold of this peace? We can surrender to God and let his peace fill us. And the verse she left is Philippians 4:7, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, can guard your hearts and minds. We can tell God and surrender our stressful situation or disagreement to him and ask him to fill us with his peace instead of worry. It sometimes might sound like it's so simple, but it's a huge start in the right directions. And 2, peacemakers are active, not passive. Number 3, we can be gentle, like in Proverbs 15:1, that soft and gentle answer, and the way we come at people can make a huge difference to help calm and soothe anger and have both parties listening and keeping the peace. Number 4, resolute in the truth. While peacekeepers are open to hearing all sides, they're not willing to set aside God's truth to appease someone else. Muting our own convictions and affirming someone else if it goes against ours could be just as wrong. And number 5, be patient. Peacemaking in the verse is a harvest of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace. And peacemaking can be messy. It is hard, dirty work. In 1781, Benjamin Franklin wrote to John Adams, "Blessed are the peacemakers," is, I suppose, for another world. In this world, they're frequently cursed. Unfortunately, that can be true. If you're trying to reconcile with someone or trying to help 2 parties reconcile, things can get messier before they get better. But be willing to not only work through that mess, but be able to walk away, but be patient also. Sometimes all we can do is plant those seeds and wait for God to grow them and bring about a harvest in his own time. But if we're patient, peacemaking can be divine work. A couple more of these, and then we're going to jump onto the bonus devotionals, my published devotionals, a couple excerpts from those, and then we'll get on to the prize at the end, which is a quick, short, action-packed chapter of my published fictional drama where you get to ride along with the frontline workers rescuing those in crisis of mental, physical, and spiritual. It's full of action, adventure, along with advocacy and awareness, and you can see that also at the website. And the next one is 5 tips for being a peacemaker from the Jesus Film Project. So they left 5 tips that make peacemaking possible. Number 1, take responsibility for reconciliation. Being a peacemaker doesn't just mean that you're doing the work necessary to maintain your relationships. It also means you're willing to do what you can to help with other people's relationships. Number 2, avoid sweeping generalizations about others. We can work on breaking down those barriers and walls of hostility, not adding to them. Number 3, cultivate that gentle spirit. There it is again, having that gentle, calm, and kind spirit. Because we've worked on our own triggers, what the things that trigger us, learning about our own trauma and things that make us angry and trigger us. When we work on that, spend that quiet time with God, getting to know what He wants for us, it's easier to get into that gentle and quiet and kind spirit. It might be surprising to discover, but nice isn't necessarily the goal of the peacemaker. As we see with God, sometimes peacemaking entails saying difficult things that others don't want to hear. So if we choose what we say based on a call to be nice, we'll often avoid hard but essential conversations. Nice tends to circumvent the hard work of bridge building. Gentleness, on the other hand, addresses the way we wade into difficult situations. It's a trait that helps breed peace and calm in the midst of high-stakes discussions. It's a clear-headed way of dealing with others that creates safe spaces to address difficult topics. Number 4, be patient with others and yourselves. And in Ephesians, Paul told the Ephesians to be completely humble and gentle, be patient, bearing with one another in love. Patience is so critical because it gives us the stamina to work through the typical process of making peace. There isn't always a quick fix to relational brokenness. Sometimes you have to work through the difficult stuff, and it feels like you're going backward before you make any real progress. Patience flows from our faith and hope that you're doing real kingdom work and reconciliation, and the outcome will be worth the effort. Number 5, don't vent about others. This is important. Being a peacemaker is about consistency of character. People need to be able to trust you and your motives. How often do we see that? When you vent about difficult people and situations, people doubt your sincerity and don't feel they can be open with you. So as peacemakers, it's very important that we avoid gossip and complaining about others. Venting about others also impacts our attitude. When we indulge our negative feelings about individuals or situations, it can help solidify those feelings in our mind. Peacemakers place a premium on reconciliation, so they don't want to expect the worst of others. They don't want to be cynical or pessimistic about creating a positive momentum. A couple more, just because these are good. 4 core qualities of a peacemaker is from SOS International. Peacemakers lean into the hard things. True peace comes through hard work and leaning into hard and uncomfortable spaces. Peacemakers, here it is again, are gentle. Gentleness is often described as strength under control. It's not just about being calm and kind, but rather a quality that requires great strength. The ability to avoid giving into anger requires immense self-control. Being gentle, tender, and considerate of other people's incredible strength. Peacemakers seek to honor people. Honoring the lives of others is a fundamental principle that drives humanitarian work and peacekeeping efforts. And it's impossible to strive for justice without valuing human life. Choosing an attitude of honor also helps peacemakers respond with kindness when faced with anger or hostility toward opposing viewpoints. Peacemakers see people. Being a peacemaker doesn't mean disregarding challenging realities or injustice. Peacemaking starts with seeing people in their needs, even in difficult situations. Sometimes our temptation may be to avoid acknowledging situations that make us feel sad, confused, or uncomfortable. However, peacemakers are willing to face these situations head on. They understand the importance of being aware and caring about what is happening with others and in their communities. And we can also feel those emotions of sadness or anger, but we're hopefully going to take action. We need peacemakers. Walking the path of a peacemaker can be hard, but it's a path that is well worth the change. Therefore, your legacy as you go, and also for the future. For some, being a peacemaker can start with cultivating friendships with people whose worldviews differ from theirs. For others, being a peacemaker right now means being bold and empowered, even if they feel unequipped, to step into a situation around you that needs peace. And then the last one is by the site, A Child Shall Lead Them, and it's 10 ways to be a peacemaker. I'm just going to read a couple of those. Romans 4:19, let us therefore make every effort to do what leads to peace and mutual edification. So number one, they say put others first. Of course, we do still have those boundaries. That doesn't mean neglecting our own needs. Atone for wrongs. Pray for peace. Number 4, seek peace actively. Make peace with your enemies. Be a problem solver. Unify believers. Teach peace. Change your thinking and reconcile others to God. And to summarize what we study, there's characteristics to strive for and pray for in order to be a peacemaker. Humble, servant-hearted, generous, courageous, bold, prayer warrior, spirit-led, righteous, loving, merciful, forgiving, and evangelist. And that is the end of the media. We're going to jump into 1 second here. I do want to find that verse that I told you about, because I know it was good when I looked it up, but I didn't write it down. Unfortunately, I was taking some of these notes earlier. And then we're going to jump into the bonus material. I am so sorry. I will skip it if I can't find it and tell you the next time. Maybe it's on this one. Nope. Okay. Never mind. Actually, here it is. It's right here. So it's Proverbs 12:20. Let me type that in real quick, and then we'll move on. And please follow, like, and share this with others. And I hope you are striving to leave your own legacy as you go. Proverbs 12:20. What does it say? That was so great. Oh, basically, it was kind of what we said before, but those who promote peace have joy. So if you're a peace promoter, it says that you can have a lot of joy in your life. I think that's true. What about you? So I know you've stayed a while, so let's jump into just a couple quick excerpts from my published devotionals. And then we'll do the bonus and the prize. So the first one is from my mental healing poetry devotional. Link on the website. We all need mental healing, especially to develop that peace in our own lives. And this one is called Quietness, Noise, Clamor versus Calmness, Silence. Always a battle raging between the two. It can make our minds confused so that we don't know what to do. The Lord, He beckons, leads us to a place of calm. Beside still waters, our worries to lay down. This invitation, this leading to rest, can clarify our life and show us what's best. So take a moment, an hour, perhaps a day, turn off the external so you can hear the true way. This place of abundance is calling you near. A deeper life, a blessing awaits you here. And the devotional part reminds us that God wants to quiet you in His love. Our senses can be bombarded with podcasts, music, construction noises, and angry associates. As you know, the list is endless, but I pray that you can find moments of quietness and stillness throughout your hectic days. And when you have that extra time, you can spend quiet moments in the presence of the Lord and allow Him to build into your soul reserves of peace to guide you through moments of loudness and chaos. You know what? Peace and stillness are possible. And that I was inspired by Psalm 23. God reminds us He makes us to lie down in those green pastures beside the still waters, restoring our soul. And as I said, that's from my mental healing poetry devotional. The next one I picked is from my word puzzles devotional. You know what? There's soul medicine in this one for you. Also link on the website. I chose, this is an A to Z devotional. The word is idyllic from the letter I. It means charmingly, simple and serene. Stillness, quiet, beauty in nature, calmness. Psalm 46:10 encourages us to rest, to be still, and let God be in control. It's tempting to try to control things and others, to want to fix and prepare and plan continually. Pressures are always there waiting for us. Without that regular quiet time, we will remain frazzled and not be at peace. Our brains in overdrive are less able to process the abundance of information coming at us at lightning speed. In all of our planning and scheduling, we're wise to schedule that downtime, that quiet time for peace. Peace and quiet, rest and trust, reconnect in prayer and devotions, and just listen. Then we can hear his still small voice. From my word puzzles devotional by Nurse Ann. That's me. Please follow this channel, like it, share it with others who need this content. And then from my Energized Health, Body, Mind, and Spirit is from the section on spirit. And we know that a lot of pursuits and possessions clamor for our attention every day. And in the beginning, Charles Stanley teaches us in his life principles that our intimacy with God is his highest priority for our lives, is going to determine the impact of our lives, thereby our legacy for ourselves and others. And also, I remember a teaching that describes that sometimes we can spend our whole lives climbing a ladder of success and building our kingdoms, and only to find at the top of the ladder, the end of our pursuits, that we have placed our ladders against the wrong wall. So if you feel like you've drifted far away from the main purpose, it's never too late to find your way back. James 4:8 reminds us, draw near to God and he will draw near to you. So make that priority of spending that quiet time with him. And there's a lot more, but we're running out of time. So Energize Health, Body, Mind, and Spirit. And there's also the Inspiration Battles devotional. I think I chose one in here about anxiety. We're running out of time, but I left in here a unique and different tip for dealing with anxiety, something that we don't often think about, but it's going to help us get to the root and foundation of stress and worry. I'm going to let you discover that on the Inspiration Battles devotional. Link to the website. I also have the Ignite Life Poetry devotional. It's the newest to As You Go, Dare to Inspire and Bless Everyone in Your Path by Nurse Ann. So let's get out of here. I'm going to quickly do the bonus and the prize now. That quick, short, action-packed chapter so you can get out of here and go on to your next video or whatever you have to do. But in my free time as a busy nurse, I created this 6-part drama series to highlight the struggles that people go through on the front lines of emergency and mental health, even struggles that you go through. We finished book 1, Sheep Among Wolves, 2, Dr. John Doe. We just finished the 3rd one, A Tent Under the Bridge. And now we're in Defenders of the Weak. Talks about people getting bullied, about people having anxiety. Then we're going to be in Ready, Willing, and Able. And then Out of Control, which is the season finale, because this is made to be a television drama series. With your help, it's all in one book, The Mental Falls First 6 Stories Edition by Nurse Ann. Link at the website. And guess what? It's also an audiobook. Let me show you the cover. And it was narrated by Drama Simpson, who brought it to life with action noises, siren noises, different characters. The Mental Falls First 6 Stories Edition by Nurse Ann. It's at Audible and iTunes. Check it out. You're going to feel like you're right there in the action. And please leave a review. So let's jump into this. We're running out of time. I am about to help you get out of here. So chapter 3 in The Mental Falls Defenders of the Weak is called Honest Revelations. While the officer drove his new fiancée home, he thought about how blessed he was that she was actually said yes to his recent proposal. Energized by the direction that his life was headed gave him more incentive to continue with his one-on-one counseling sessions at the church. He felt motivated to get to the heart of why he had certain thought patterns and habits that had never really allowed him to open up his life with someone so special. And that's what we talk about a lot at the podcast, is getting to the heart of our patterns in our psychology and why we do things, and just learning, getting that introspection and getting better and elevating in our lives. Anyway, he was learning so much about himself. He was excited that the two of them would attend the premarital couples counseling sessions together soon. Lita could tell something was on his mind, so she gave him a playful nudge and asked, "Hey, future husband, what are you so deep in thought about?" The newly engaged caseworker was so relieved that she didn't have to worry anymore when Leon was deep in thought. Instead of thinking the worst, she had recently learned that the reason he had been so quiet and mysterious before was that he was actually planning to ask for her hand in marriage. And to think that she almost gave up on him because she had misread his anxious mood swings. Her heart soared even higher when Leon began to tell her about the counseling and how his life was changing for the better. Your life can also change for the better. Believe it. "Tell me more," she asked with intense interest. "Okay, well, you asked for it. Here goes," he started. Leon proceeded to hash out the details of some of the conversations and soul searching he had been undertaking with the counselor at the church. He had been able to uncover some of the reasons why he had not been able to have close and meaningful relationships with the women he had dated. Most of the examples in his life of how to treat women from his male role models and everything he witnessed in culture had only reinforced negative examples. He was beginning to see women in a whole new light. No more objectification, no more using women. Leon was starting to want to advocate and be a champion to help so many of those ladies going through struggles that he encountered in his line of work as a policeman. Lita was feeling strong emotions as she listened intently to every word. Then she added her observations on the traumatic life situations she witnessed in the lives of her clients as a caseworker on the front lines. She had encountered many women and young girls even being abused and mistreated in general. And what especially made her angry was women and children, even men, being sold and trafficked even in their own city. Officer Leon agreed. His police chief had started a specialty task force to bring down the traffickers and help rescue those caught in the web of evil. Leon had always been a supporter of that division, but now it was taking on a more important priority to him. We're almost done. Hang on. The couple agreed on the importance of helping others, helping those in danger, and fighting for the rights of others. Lita's ears perked up even more when Leon laid out the powerful scriptural principle that we are fighting not just a physical battle, but also a spiritual battle against forces of darkness, seen and unseen. Thankfully, we have the Lord on our side to help us fight those battles. Heavenly spiritual armor, she added. Leon surprised himself that he was gaining valuable insight in a brand new way to look at the world. Lita, the counseling, and his ministry group friends were adding richness and depth to his life. Lita, what are your thoughts on attending a counseling session with me this Wednesday before our ministry group meets? He asked. My thoughts are, I wouldn't miss it for the world, was her eager reply. And that's the end. And our next chapter is chapter 4, No Rest for the Worry. I'll see you at the next nurseann.com.